Hi, kids. It's the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central. We're presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. This is the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. I'm Randy Karraker, and it is great to have you with us as the winter meetings continue down in Orlando, Florida. And it is just action-packed, unless you're a Cardinal fan.
It's action-packed. Guess what? Shocking here, Randy. Teams on the coast make moves in winter.
Yeah, they do, because they can. And Baltimore is the same city as St.
I was going to say, why can't
Baltimore is the same?
If economically depressed baseball markets can make moves, why can't we?
Because they have to justify their rebuild.
Okay.
So when you've got Jackson Holiday and you've got Gunnar Henderson and you've got the two young catchers led by Adley Rutschman, and you did make some big moves and get rid of some of your young guys, and you traded Grayson Rodriguez too. At some point, if you're a general manager and you're in a rebuild, you've got to make it work. And so they go out and sign Ryan Helsley, they go out and sign Pete Alonso, and all of a sudden the rebuild is going to take place with a couple of multi-million-dollar acquisitions in free agency.
Although, I'm kind of surprised that it came at first base, because I guess maybe they're thinking
DH.
Yeah, they're thinking that Pete Alonso is going to play a lot of DH now, because the plan obviously is they want to be able to extend both of their young catchers' careers by playing them at first base every once in a while. And so I'm guessing this is going to be a lot of DH for Pete Alonso. He's not going to be out there to get in a lot of fights. He's going to have to run in from the dugout.
Okay, would you rather have Kyle Schwarber at $150 million over 5, or Pete Alonso at $155 million over 5? I'd rather have Schwarber, even though I think he's a little bit older.
I think Schwarber is older, yeah.
Or Schwarber is 32, obviously going to be 33. Alonso is 31.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that the Orioles aren't going to have to, but in this hypothetical, I might need somebody to actually need to play a defensive position for 120 games, and Pete Alonso conceivably could actually do that, whereas Kyle Schwarber can't really play a defensive position for 150 games. No, I'm certainly not going to do that.
Okay.
I guess I could stick him in right field if I have good left fielders and center fielders, maybe. But not. I mean, statistically, no. So I think I'm going to give Alonso a little bit of the edge.
The $5 million.
Just the $5 million, just because if I'm building a team, that little bit of flexibility is worth a lot. And obviously, Schwarber just had a huge year. We're talking about, you're asking this question post Schwarber 50 home run season. How different is this conversation if you're asking this question post Pete Alonso 50 home run season? So I know a lot of people are going to run with the flavor of the month right now, but don't forget, again, Pete Alonso also a 50 home run caliber player.
I'm going to have two things. Number one, everything we hear from Philly, and one of the reasons that they gave him all the money with Schwarber is because he's such a great guy in the clubhouse. And the other thing is, give me the left-handed hitter over the right-handed hitter.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Now, I know that Pete Alonso is a big, strong man, and he can put people in the hospital.
This is the thing. I was trying not to make too many jokes about that, but like St. Louis, I can't not make jokes about that stupid thing he said.
The fight with Stubby Clapp.
Oh, my God, it was so funny.
Pete Alonso, big, strong man.
He
can put a guy in the hospital. Yeah, Stubby Clapp. His name is literally Stubby. So,
I love that situation so much. You're right. The lefty factor of Schwarber does kind of give you a little bit of a boost on that one.
So the Cardinals really haven't done anything yet, and so you see,
right? Shocked. I can't believe it.
Yeah, you see it at the beginning of this show. Are the Cardinals asleep at the wheel? No, the Cardinals are talking to literally all 29 other teams.
Honestly, it was halfway. It was halfway for reaction, but it was mostly so I could make the comment, the second comment after the Pike, which is the Blues sleeping through the third period last night, which I think is which is a much more accurate comment. But I had to connect the two, and so the Cardinals get a little bit of a shot that's probably unnecessary, because although they are very quiet now on the surface, much like let's go with Tony Soprano in that first episode of The Sopranos, much like a swan, duck, geese, forgot, everything's going crazy under the water.
With the Cardinals.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of craziness under the water. Somebody said, Seth Teal, Bloom really flew to Orlando for a vacation. We had somebody yesterday after Claiborne pointed out that it was the first time he'd seen Chaim Bloom walk out of the suite. It's like, well, there's probably phones in the suite and things like that.
I've heard from multiple general managers over the years that there really is no good reason for the GMs to go to the winter meetings, because they do. They hole up in their suite and they could do the exact same thing from their office. They're texting, they're emailing, they're talking on the phone. There isn't an awful lot of face-to-face contact. Like when Whitey made the huge deals in 1980 and 81. By the way, this date, 1981, the Cardinals make the trade, Gary Templeton and Sixto Lezcano, for Ozzie Smith and Steve Mura. That deal was made with Jack McKeon, the then Padres general manager, at the hotel bar. Whitey and McKeon would get together. They'd hang out at the hotel bar, have a few pops. McKeon apparently would have a few more than Whitey would, and Whitey would walk away with a good deal. They made the giant trade the year before, the Terry Kennedy and 6 other guys for Raleigh Fingers and who do we get in that? Oh, Bob Shirley, Gene Tennis. But literally, it's amazing to look at the deal that Whitey made at a hotel bar. But nobody gets together in the hotel bar anymore to make a deal. That's my point here.
You just can't get your opposing team GM drunk anymore and fleece them. What the hell?
Those were fun times.
Those were the days when you could really impact the market in not entirely ethical ways.
So the Cardinals, let's keep in mind when we talk about where they are, they already did trade Sonny Gray, okay? So that's a pretty substantial move during this offseason. They're trying, when I talk about them talking to literally the other 29 teams, they're trying to find somebody to take Nolan Arenado.
Anybody?
You be Bueller.
Please,
and then
please.
The other part of this is that in the case of Brendan Donovan, what the Cardinals are trying to do is kind of flesh out what's available to them. And they think that they can get a middle of the rotation starting pitcher and then another starting pitcher, maybe for the minor leagues, for Brendan Donovan. And they have to go through all the other organizations, find out who they like, what they like, and who's available. That's the most important thing, and then make the deal that way.
You can check it out on STL Sports Central going up here in an hour or two. You can find under the videos tab, it'll be Card Central 365, Brendan Schaefer, and Joe Roderick breaking down the Giants upping their pursuit for Brendan Donovan as they went through the potential pitchers. Giants have an interesting gaggle of pitchers to look at, both from the major league and from the minor league combination that you're talking about. So the Giants are an interesting one. Look for that coming up on STL Sports Central. You guys also always kill it here in the chat. Let's go to Sir Smokeslot. Yeah, well, what else is new? Donovan's been the hottest name for weeks. And then we find out in a meeting for Donovan's still there, and the Good reports they need to evaluate their offers and prospects. What the F have you been doing? If these teams don't want to do business at winter meetings, then it doesn't need to be an event for media ratings. Said teams can stay home and said fans will know not to tune in.
Well, here's the thing. As Claves pointed out yesterday, and you can watch yesterday's show right here on the YouTube at STL Sports Central, but it's more than just a group of general managers getting together. It is the baseball winter meeting. So you've got all the marketing people down there. You've got people looking for jobs. You've got broadcasters that are looking for gigs.
Sir Smokes hates Rapsodo.
Rapsodo? Yeah,
Rapsodo salespeople. Ridiculous. Come on.
Why would we hate
Why
them?
would you hate them, sir? They got work to do. They got teams to
Good
sell
for golf
too.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
A great point. I didn't realize until Claves talked about that there really was like a giant trade show and like job fair and everything all in one. I had no idea.
So, and all the managers show up, and the media obviously is there, and Boris is there, and there are deals to be made, like Pete Alonso. Boris is there, right? Is Boris Boris and Alonso? Yeah, Alonso's a Boris guy. Boris is there. Whoa. The Orioles are there, and they work a deal.
Randy, without the winter meetings, the Pirates couldn't have made that really serious offer to sign Kyle Schwarber.
Very serious.
How could they have called to make an obviously 100%? We're not purposely calling you to finish second place phone call at all. How else do they do that without the winter meetings? That's
you got to have the winter meetings.
Question.
No doubt about it. All right. Sir Smokes a lot again. I remember when the trade deadline was exciting and fun, as well as the winter meetings. I think one of the things that they could do with the winter meetings is have a transaction deadline, just like they do during the season. And I'm glad that Boris is actually getting guys signed now before March. But I think it'd be smart for baseball, maybe after the winter meetings, to have a moratorium on transactions until after the first of the year. And there was a piece in The Athletic about general managers literally working 24/7 on Christmas Day and during vacations and stuff like that. These guys, because of what the job has become, they are working all the time. They're always available. And I think to give those guys a chance to breathe, maybe from the Friday after the winter meetings until the 26th of December, have a moratorium on transactions in the sport. And that way, deadlines spur action and you can get things done. And maybe even wait until the middle of January. Maybe have that sort of a deadline. So you have like a 3-week wait, and that way more things will get done and the winter meetings will provide more news.
Why have any trade deadline at all? Why not just let people make trades right up through the end of October?
Well, I just don't think that is the way to provide the best competitive balance that you're going to have.
Oh,
and I'm all about competitive balance.
So the Oakland A's are going to get chintzy if you let them do it. Wow,
yeah.
That'd be shocking. Speaking of nothing happening at the meeting and everything like that, and also speaking of our good friend Bubs, who points out that he's loving Chaim's transparency about the trade market. Speaking of that transparency, we have the full audio of Chaim Bloom speaking to the media last night. And here's a little bit of snippet of that audio. Here's Chaim Bloom talking about that Brendan Donovan trade market.
Ever think it's great to get too specific with these types of things, but I did my time in the MLB Network chair earlier today when they said how popular is he, I said pretty popular. So that's already out there, and that is the case. It shouldn't be surprising. And what's not to like about Donny? Like my job is to listen, and on top of that, obviously with what we're trying to accomplish as an organization, the possibility that for him or any number of players there could be something out there that really pushes us towards those goals. Mm-hmm. It means we have to listen. Yeah. But he is both the type of player and the type of person that we want more of in this organization. It's not a surprise to me that other clubs see the value that he has.
Okay, there it is.
So cut and dry. No surprises. And he's a good player to have on your team. But if you aren't planning on winning in the next couple of years, you aren't planning on winning a World Series in the next couple of years, you have, and I think this is the biggest thing. It's not his age. It's not his control. It's J.J. Weatherholt. You have a guy ready to take his place. It's a really good player that the Cardinals think has a chance to be a better player than Donovan. So they have what they feel like is depth at second base and utility that other teams covet and are willing to pay a premium for. And if you have that, then why not utilize it? And rather than have one Brendan Donovan, have 2 or 3 good players for the future.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes too much sense at this point. Yeah. At this point, we're all just waiting. I can't find. I know there every day we have comments on our videos. And by the way, guys, we love that. We love the comments. But every day there is ones that people say we can't. Why get rid of Brendan Donovan? Just ride the rails with him. Keep on rolling with him. He's a great Cardinal. He should be a Cardinal for life.
I wouldn't be
brokenhearted
if they kept him. I don't mind having Brendan Donovan on the team. I'm just looking at it from their perspective. When you have teams coming after you saying, we want Brendan Donovan, like he said, his job, Chaim Bloom's job, is to listen. And if you get to that point where the scales, okay, let's say Brendan Donovan and the normal offer. This Brendan Donovan, this is the normal offer.
Here we go.
But all of a sudden, the normal offer becomes a better offer and a better offer. And Donovan's still valuable. But then look what happens, okay? So all of a sudden the ante is upped, and if you are winning the trade, you feel like you're winning the trade, then you have to make it.
I feel like Joe, can we get some scales in here?
Scales of justice.
We need to get some scales in here, and we'll do big prop stuff. We'll say Brendan Donovan's trade value, and then or in the Cardinals' ability to win in the next 2 years, and we'll keep playing with it all. It just makes too much sense. If we're being honest, it makes too much sense. But at this point, pinch everybody you can. I mean, if Chaim Bloom, who again knows more than we do and is better at this job than we are, he's playing the game he has to, and he's putting people against each other. Like we said, a lot of movement happening under the water. Is it the first episode of Sopranos, or am I conflating that with a different show? Is that not the first episode of Sopranos? Am I going crazy? Is that not what happened in the first episode of Sopranos? He uses the analogy of the ducks or whatever, and then how much that's happening under the water.
Yeah,
okay,
so,
I was like, am I thinking of a different show all of a sudden? Sorry, I thought I was going crazy for a second. A lot of things are happening, And at this point, again, if you have 15 teams, keep whittling it down. Keep whittling it down and keep making sure that offer's a little bit higher. I apparently don't have a good feel on what the kind of pitching that Brendan Donovan could bring in, because, again, going back to the comments, going back to on our YouTube, going back to everything I'm seeing in Twitter, a lot of Cardinals fans would be adamant they would not be happy if the Cardinals went 1-for-1 with Brendan Donovan for like a Noah Cameron. They want a high-level pitcher, and they expect Donovan to bring him in there. I don't know if or maybe I'm just valuing a guy like Noah Cameron too high. But people really have high expectations of what the Cardinals need to bring in for Brendan Donovan, and I think that's a good thing. But I also think we need to be realistic at the same time.
You need a guy that can pitch in your rotation in 2026, and another guy, whether that's a mid to upper level rotation guy, that you value as a future big time asset, like Brandon Clark, the guy they got from Boston. Yeah. If you can make that kind of a deal, and he was Boston's number 5 prospect. He's a nice prospect, but you got to, and even if that winds up being a pitcher that pitched in A-ball last year, you get a guy that can pitch. You need to have pitching for 2026. That's one of the things you get. And then you get another prospect, and hopefully one or both of those guys is around when you're ready to try winning again.
Is it okay? Let's put it this way. Give me a percentage break on this one.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals get for Brendan Donovan, and the bigger part of the trade package is a pitcher who pitches in 2026. The chances that's the case of the Brendan Donovan trade. What do you think? What do you think it is? Again, the Brendan Donovan package, the bigger part of the package is a pitcher who successfully pitches for the Cardinals in 2026. Do you think there's a high percentage chance that that's what the package looks like?
Yes. 100%.
Or do you think it's the other way around?
No, I think there's I don't think they'll trade Brendan Donovan if the return doesn't include a pitcher that's going to be in their 26 rotation.
But do you think the pitcher who's in the 2026 rotation will be the big part of the trade, the acquisition? Is my point. That's the big factor. Is in the Sonny Gray trade, the big part of the acquisition was Brandon Clark, the prospect. I'm saying, what percentage do you think we see the Brendan Donovan trade return? And the big part of the return is not a prospect, but an actual MLB ready starter.
I wish I knew who was bidding, because, as an example, if it were the Dodgers, who obviously are not going to be after a Brendan Donovan type now, you wouldn't think, but you would want a Sheehan, right? And he would be a front of the rotation guy for you in 2026. But if you're dealing with Seattle, maybe you get a more back of the rotation guy like Miller, but get an Anderson out of it from the minors. So I think it really depends on who you're dealing with.
And that's kind of my thing. It seems like it's because, again, you look at the Royals, you look at the Giants. We're talking about the big team, the Mariners.
I don't know what do the Giants have? Because it's not going to be Logan Webb, and they had some okay starting pitching, but they're talking about bringing Max Scherzer in there. So it doesn't seem like they have a wealth of young starting pitching. I'm talking 26, 27, 28-year-old starting pitching plus a prospect, because they have Robbie Ray, and he doesn't fit what the Cardinals are looking for. They have Webb, he doesn't fit what the Cardinals
23-year-old Hayden Birdsong started 23 games, and they started 10 games for them last year. Yep. Carson Seymour is a 26-year-old who started some games for them last year. Kawhi and Tang. So, I mean, they have some young guys in the actual organization right now. And then if you look at their prospects, and again, a better breakdown with this will be Brendan Schaefer and Joe Roddick. You can find that on STL Sports Central. They went through the entirety of the Giants, kind of broke down what a potential deal could look like. The big thing with the Giants is that 4 of their top 12 prospects are young pitchers. One of them, Carson Wisenhunt, is MLB ready, quote unquote, 25-year-old, 6'3", 220-pound lefty. They have a couple righties and lefties who are in A-ball and high A-ball, I believe. So, by the way, much longer runway for those players. But there is a guy like Wisenhunt who could be a kind of a combination of a little bit of higher ceiling, while also maybe potentially getting into the 2026 rotation. It's not the best fit. I'll admit the Giants aren't the best.
What's
fit.
Seymour's first name?
Seymour's first name.
I think I've heard of him.
What am I blanking on? Where was it?
For the Giants.
The Giants. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures. Carson.
Carson, yeah. So I heard that his sister married the grandson of former major leaguer Mike Heine, Carla Seymour Heine.
That's what you took me on that trip for. That's what you took me on that trip for.
Is that okay?
That's terrible. Anyway, jump into the comments of this chat with what you guys want to talk about, but also
I want to weigh in. I want you people to weigh in on this. Henry Wells. Thank you, Henry, for checking in and
about that joke. I hate everything about that joke.
Well, you love it. You're laughing.
No, you took me on such a long trip for it.
Sometimes it takes to get the reward. You have to kind of take the trail.
By the way, Henry, for like the 8th day straight, is in the chat telling us about how great the Cardinals are.
And I love Henry. And the 11-time world champion Cardinals not only have the best fans in baseball, yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Backed up by multiple non-Cardinal Hall of Famers, but also the best broadcasters as KMOX and Cards alum Joe Buck goes into the Hall of Fame. 6th guy to be inducted, well, not inducted, but to receive both the Ford Frick Award as the Hall of Fame baseball broadcaster and the Pete Rozelle Award as a Hall of Fame football announcer. So congratulations to Joe. He'll be inducted in late July. And he didn't think, as we texted during the summer when he was named a finalist, he said, I'll never get in. They only want local guys. But he got the call this morning. He was blown away. So congratulations to Joe Buck, who he said on his call to the media this morning, he had a media conference call. He said that he's probably going to do a couple more Cardinal games in 2026. So it'll be good to have him back in the baseball booth.
Because Joe and Randy are friends, Joe would sometimes listen to our old radio show.
Yeah.
And one time I got a fact wrong, and Joe texted Randy and told Randy, hey, your producer got this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never forgotten about that moment. It's going to live with me the rest of my entire life.
And I should have never told him.
I mean, oh my God, it was such a small little thing too. And I was like, cool, lovely, glad that's how Joe Buck now knows me. Randy's producer got a fact wrong. Great. I'm going to go walk into the ocean now.
So here's one thing about Joe, by the way, especially since he doesn't do baseball anymore. He is such an incredibly passionate fan of the St. Louis teams, whether it's the Blues or the Cardinals. And he is like all of us. He's intense. And he rides the roller coaster. Like if the Blues win, it's great, but if the Blues lose, they suck. And that's the way he is. So I'm excited about him being in the Hall of Fame, and congratulations to he and Michelle Buck and Mrs. Buck, Carol Buck, and Julie and the whole family.
The best.
Pretty good. I think I'm going to try to make my way to Cooperstown in July for that, and we'll learn in January who the players that are going into the Hall of Fame are going to be.
Sir Smokes a Lot says,
and one other note: Joe and Jack. First father-son duo to both be in the pro football and the baseball Hall of Fame. Go ahead.
Joe's the best. Maybe he's heard me say some right facts. Why must it be starting pitching? Asks Sir Smokes a Lot. It's not like we're fantastic at creating bats.
No, but here's the thing. They need pitching desperately right now. Right now, the Cardinals have 3 starting pitchers. If you want to go Liberatore, McGreevy, Fitz, and hopefully Palante, and hopefully Leahy, and a bunch of guys that have never pitched, at least with hitters at every single position, you've got a player that has played at the major league level at the moment. And even if you get rid of Contreras, you've got Burleson at first. Even if Pages isn't the catcher and Herrera is, or Crooks is, you've got guys to do it. At third base, Arenado or Gorman. At shortstop, you've got Mason Wynn. You can place a JC there. You can play Weatherholt there. At second, obviously, Donovan, Weatherholt would be a possibility. Gorman could play there. In the outfield, you've still got Nootbaar. You've still got Scott. You've still got Walker. Plus, you could play Burleson out there. If you needed to, you probably should play Herrera out there. You've got Nathan Church. So at least you've got hitters that have played in the majors before, and you have enough of them. Right now, as we sit here on December 10th, the Cardinals don't even have enough starting pitchers to field a rotation for the first week of the season. That's why they need to go get pitching at the moment. And they need to get you win ultimately. You can win with great pitching if you're good enough to manufacture runs. You cannot manufacture pitching. You can find a way by stealing bases, by bunting, by getting your bat on the ball. You can find a way to score a run now and then. You cannot find a way to pitch now and then. You just can't make pitching like you can make a run.
And you can manufacture relief pitching, can you? But you can't manufacture starting pitching.
But you got to have pitchers making pitches.
Yeah, that's fair. The one thing we're getting thrown out here in the chat a couple times because of the Alonso conversation, could the Nets be a destination for Wilson Contreras?
I think that would be an interesting possibility. Now, they have Matt Beatty at third, and they've moved Mark Vientos to first. They're not a team that's cheap, right? We know they're going to spend money, so perhaps they would be a team that would be interested in Contreras. I haven't asked what the Cardinals' plan is with Contreras, whether or not that would be a salary dump or if they think that he's valuable enough to get something for.
Also, last year, the DH for the majority of the Mets season was Starling Marte, who I don't believe are bringing back.
Yeah, he was a designated swinger. He was a designated
So
hitter.
there is a spot open for DH for Wilson Contreras, and I guess
they need a right-handed bat.
I guess conceivably, if you're listening to Ali Marmol, Contreras can still catch. Yeah. I don't believe that any other team in baseball wants him to.
But here's the thing with Wilson, not catching, but a lot of teams need right-handed bats, including, I think, both New York teams.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees, even though they have Judge and Stanton, I think the Yankees could use a replacement for Paul Goldschmidt, and Contreras, I think, would fit in well with the Yankees. I think there's a lot of teams that Wilson Contreras and that right-handed bat would be beneficial for. Now, if you're the Cardinals, again, we have to look at it from a long-term view. Wilson Contreras is not going to be a good right-handed bat or a great right-handed bat. Let's give him his due. When the Cardinals are ready to win again, Wilson Contreras is not going to be a guy that is going to contribute to them winning a world championship. So at the age of 33, if he's willing to be moved and you can either A, get something back for him, or B, get him off of your payroll, it could work as an advantage because the Cardinals would love the idea of not having Contreras and Arenado. Both are gone. So you're playing Burleson at first, you're playing Weatherholt at second, you're playing Wynn at short, you're playing Gorman at third, with Sajaci mixing in there now and then. And then you could go Newt Barr if you want, or somebody else in left field, maybe Herrera. You could go Victor Scott in center. You could go Jordan Walker in right and find out about him. And then hopefully down the road, you'd have some outfielders that would step up. I keep hearing from Cardinal minor league people about the physical abilities of Chase Davis. And it's the issue with Chase Davis is he needs to get his head right. But once he does, and once he decides, hey, I want to try really hard at this and become great, once he decides he wants to be great and puts everything into it, he can be great. That's Chase Davis. But I don't know that the Cardinals will ever be able to find the key to unlock that potential.
Yeah, I'm not really gonna bank on it.
But he was a first rounder only 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, it's first rounders in Major League Baseball. It gets a little.
You would have given up
risky
on Joe
sometimes.
Adell, wouldn't you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think I would have been justified.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Let's see what Joe Adell
What is Joe Adell doing right now?
Joe Adell in 2025, this season is what we're going to say it
111 OPS plus, 37 home runs, 98 RBI.
Yeah.
RBIs.
78 OPS. 78.
And hey, look at that.
Yep.
When he was 23 years old, he wasn't a very good hitter, and now at 26 years old, he was a pretty good hitter.
37 homers, 98 RBIs, hit 293.
Huh. So at 23 years old, he wasn't a good hitter. And then at 26, he was a better hitter.
Isn't that interesting? 224, 637 OPS at the age of 23, 8 homers, 27 RBIs. And interesting how that works sometimes.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
That's why I think the Cardinals, and I get that Chase Davis was a college player and he's a little bit older, but I'm just telling you, people that I trust that work with the kid say that he can be pretty good.
We're going to talk here because we're talking about catchers, but also Wilson, do me a favor. I'm going to need you to
not Wilson Contreras, by the way.
Yeah, Wilson, the producer. I'm going to need you to grab me some chats from earlier in the show because I've been blocked out. I'm only able to see chats from 322 and before. So scroll on up for me.
Why don't you just,
there was I can't scroll up on the StreamYard page that I'm on because my iPad doesn't allow me to do certain things. There was no. You scroll down from there. You can see the one I have selected right now. Scroll down from there. There was one from High Definition that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, Henry Wells. There he goes.
By the way, can I get to Bill Arnold here?
Oh, yeah,
because it's interesting that we just talked about what
time did Bill Arnold send this in at?
Just 2 texts ago.
Okay.
3 now. But we're talking about what Joe Adell became, and we can talk about what Aaron Judge became. Aaron Judge never had an at-bat in the major leagues until he was 25. And he says, our outfield is a hot mess. Walker and Scott can't hit. Newt can't stay healthy. So
he really texted that in right after I made all those side little comments about Joe Adell's age. Come on, read the room, Bill.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's if the Yankees had given up on Aaron Judge at the age of 23 or 24, we would not have seen some of the greatest hitting in the history of baseball. Arguably, over the course of a slice of time, right there with Albert Pujols, right?
Now, if that happens, Tatis could maybe get his son a workout. Do you think Richard Shank could have gotten Judge a workout with the Cardinals?
Maybe. I would hope so.
I doubt it.
Would have been a good idea, by the way, for the Cardinals to get Richard Shank to work with Jordan Walker. Let's get that happening. But here's the other part of it. There are so many players. Yordan Alvarez is one of those guys who never got the chance until he was after his 23rd birthday. There's so many, and Joe Adell, that didn't turn out to be what he is now, 37 homers, 98 RBIs, until he was 26 years old. Sometimes you have to let a player marinate a little bit. Cardinals did that with Keith Hernandez back in the 70s, and he wound up being a great, great hitter. Not everybody is awesome right off the bat. When you watch a good major league hitter, that just because he's good at the age of 28, 29, 30 doesn't mean he was good at the age of 21, 22, 23.
There's somebody on YouTube who's a Mets fan who did a clip a few weekdays ago. It was just a montage of all the times that Keith Hernandez talked about his morbidity or his mortality in the last season on Mets broadcast. Yeah. And apparently it happens a lot. Apparently there's a lot of times late in Mets games when they're like, how about the future? And Keith's always like, I don't know if I'm going to see that. And it's like, Jesus Christ, Keith. The man apparently talks about his mortality on Mets broadcasts commonly, which is odd, but hey, I guess that's what happens.
I wonder why. Well, he's
he's 70. He was like, well, I'm 70 years old. Don't know how much longer I have left. It's Jesus Christ, Keith.
He is, let's see, he made his debut at the age of 20, by the way.
I gotta remember who did this.
It's great.
Keith Hernandez talks about mortality.
So he's 72 now. Ozzie is 70. And if you run into Ozzie, you'd think that he's 50. He's unbelievable.
So there was the comedian. There's a comedian. His name is is it Jonathan Van Helm? And it popped up on my reels. And he's a comedian in Brooklyn, and he did a whole thing about how Keith Hernandez keeps talking about his mortality on Mets broadcast, and it's absolutely hilarious. Okay, go to High Definition's comment for me, Wilson.
Let's do it.
He says, in March of 2026, when the NHL GM meetings are taking place, will the RKS be spending most of its time talking about that and less on baseball? No, we won't. And here's the reality of the situation, RKS, and I'll just give you a little peek behind the curtain. We posted the audio from Chaim Bloom yesterday. Did fantastic numbers. Honestly, did better than anything that we've talked about on the Blues specifically has done in the last 3 months. I'm just being 100% honest with you on that one, High Definition. Like, this is the way that St. Louis works. You ask anybody in the world and they'll tell you, I don't think baseball is Rocchio's favorite sport. It's not. But we talk a lot of baseball on this station because that's what people in St. Louis like to hear them talk about. It's the biggest sport in the city, and the winter meetings are a large topic in baseball. I've never really heard anybody talk much about it. The GM meetings from hockey, I guess, because I'm talking about college basketball and Cardinals baseball during Marches. But yeah, that's just the reality of the situation. And listen, we have to follow a directive, which is the numbers. And right now, even though it's the offseason, people want to talk about the Cardinals offseason, and that's what we're doing. And
the baseball winter meetings are heavily attended, and the media is there. The NHL general managers meetings, well, important because there's a lot of talk that goes on there, but they aren't nearly as well attended as the Major League Baseball winter meetings are. There is a lot of coverage of the winter meetings, the winter baseball meetings, not nearly as much of the general managers meetings in hockey. I think this is interesting when you talk about what the Cardinals are trying to do. And Aaron Dodson said, at this rate, the Cardinal rebuild will take 5 to 10 years.
Aaron, to his credit, has commented that every show for the past month and a half.
Here's the thing. If a rebuild is taking you 5 to 10 years, then you've started the process probably 3 different times.
Yes, that's
one
the White
rebuild
Sox.
is not going to take 5 to 10 years. You might do one, screw it up over the course of 3 years, start another, screw that up, and then maybe if you hit in year 9 or 10, that'll be your third rebuild. But if you're 10 years in, it's the people that you started that rebuild with are not going to be around anymore. And that includes, by the way, the front office and the manager, in addition to the players.
Eric says, would Seattle give up Logan Gilbert for Donovan? No.
Yeah.
No. Why would they? I have no idea why they would.
Castillo, Gilbert, Kirby, Miller.
But Randy, you yourself would argue against your own point here by simply saying pitching.
Oh, yeah,
pitching.
no doubt about
I don't care if you got 4 starters. If you have the 4 best starters in the rotation, then you're fitting to win a lot of games.
What if you have 6 starters?
Then you trade your 5th and 6th starter. You don't trade the 3rd or 4th one.
Agreed. But if you're the Cardinals, so
look at his baseball savant page. You don't Logan Gilbert, go to his baseball savant page.
They aren't trading Logan Gilbert.
Look at all the red. Yeah. Look at all the red.
Yeah, they aren't trading. I know they aren't trading Logan
God,
Gilbert.
no.
Okay, they aren't trading Woo. They might move Castillo, but he's not in the Cardinals' price range. I don't believe. Right. Gilbert, Kirby. So maybe Miller, maybe Hancock. But I don't see the Cardinals being able to get. See, they've got 4 guys capable, in my opinion, of being front of the rotation guys, and that includes Castillo.
Could they trade? I don't think so. Never mind. I was going to trade. I mean, Kirby just had a year with injuries, and he was down. Like, do they potentially say, like, find the team that says, you know, that pretty much will pay them for his 2023 and 2024 production?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, well, that as long as we're getting what we could have gotten for him last year, and they're not shaving off much for a bad year, we'll take the risk because maybe the bad year is real. And again, that's always one of those things where an organization like the Mariners are going to know more about their thoughts about him coming out of that injury than anybody else does.
Well, many of the Cardinal scouts are still there, and many of those guys were around when the Cardinals had interest in Kirby in the past, a year ago. 27 years old. He's only got 3 years in, so he's got free agent, can't be a free agent till 2029. So that would be a guy that would seem to fit what the Cardinals are looking for. He has been great in the past. In 2023, 13-10 with a 3.35, 24, 14-11 with a 3.53. He did lead the kind of Miles Michaelis-esque with the 181 hits allowed, leading the league in hits allowed in 2024. However, he's also thrown in his career 621 strikeouts in 637 innings, which is something the Cardinals desire, is that that strikeout ability that he brings to the table. So, yeah, maybe a guy like Kirby, who's 27, would be an interesting move. I would certainly bet on him being good for the Cardinals. And if you would like to bet, then here's what you need to do, Missouri, because your moment is finally here. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in Missouri. And you can make every single game even more exciting with same-game parlays and money lines and props. You can bet on the Blues to win the Stanley Cup and more, all from your phone and all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day, the tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, bring that same energy to every snap and every touchdown and every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action. Powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. One single use odds boost per customer. Market boosted to plus 100 odds. Max bet $50. Expires at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
That's wild.
Wow, word just in that Sherrone Moore has been fired by Michigan for cause. Now, he had been suspended during the Connor Stallions thing. He got suspended for the first 3 games of the year. I don't know that this has anything to do with that when you're fired for cause, but the University of Michigan now kind of behind everybody as they're searching for a new head coach. They would have loved to have gotten Matt Campbell, but he's not available anymore. They would have probably liked to have gotten James Franklin, but he's not available anymore. I wonder what direction Michigan goes here. Do they go and get Jim Harbaugh?
I enjoy watching Michigan score them, I'll be honest with you.
It's going to be interesting.
It's pretty fun, honestly.
Okay, here's the play.
This is what you get for cheating, you sons of bitches.
Mm-hmm. Who cheated?
Michigan?
What'd they do?
They're not filming. Were they not on? Did they not have a guy on the other team's sideline?
Oh, but they didn't know anything about that. Jim Harbaugh said that. He didn't know anything about it. Didn't you listen?
Alleged cheating sons of bitches.
Oh, man. So I wonder, here's the play. If you are Michigan and you're a smart aleck, you're a troll.
Which you are.
If you're Michigan?
Yes, if you're Michigan.
Then you hire Urban Meyer. Right?
You can't hire Urban Meyer after firing a coach for cause.
Oh, come on. What did Urban Meyer ever do wrong?
We're not doing this again. For some why?
So
how all of a sudden this show became the disgraced coach apology tour? I don't know, but I won't have it. We're not doing this. No. We're going back to baseball now.
Hold on. I'm trying to think of a coach for them. I don't know where they go. Jimbo
Fisher's not a bad. Jimbo Fisher's not a bad one. I like Jimbo Fisher. That's an idea.
This
I like
is really
Jimbo
funny.
Fisher idea.
Oh man, this is really funny. Lane
I
Kiffin?
don't know. That was, Nick Saban.
Ooh. He's coached in Michigan before.
Wait, I got this. They're both kind of old, but we do co-coaches. Nick Saban and Gary Pinkel.
That'd be fun.
I don't see why. I don't see why. Like only half of the media responsibilities. In fact, honestly, no. We make collectively a deal as the world that outside of post game they don't have to do media.
Okay, how about this is serious now.
Oh, okay.
Guy who's from Ohio.
Guys, this is now serious.
1 year interim. Okay, Bob Stoops.
Ooh, was he last in the UFL?
Yes. They have pursued him before. He was actually the interim when Lincoln Riley left. He coached in the bowl game for Oklahoma. He might be on Oklahoma's staff, but he would be interesting, I think. Who else? There was somebody else I was thinking of. I think that they could come away with a decent coach for next year. Chip Kelly?
You said decent coach.
Chip has been to if I'm not mistaken, a national championship game.
He has been to a national championship
as a head coach.
And his NFL, and one time his NFL team had like a 10-game winning streak.
That's right. Yeah. So Chip would be interesting. Brian Kelly is out there. Right. So another 1 year interim guy.
One of the Kellys. I like that. I like that a lot.
Chip and Brian. Yeah.
Especially Chip could work too because I guess the entire thing is how do you keep Underwood? Or do you even care about keeping Underwood?
Yeah, you care about that. You're paying him a lot of money.
You're paying him a lot of money, but
Chip would be interesting for that.
That's what I'm saying. Is if one of the main pivots you have to make is how do we keep a quarterback? Mainly, if apparently Dave Portnoy might not want to spend the money, then having a guy who's like, hey, you want to throw 55 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Honestly, I joke that I hate him, but having Chip Kelly in the Big Ten. I kind of like the idea. It
didn't go great last time.
No, it didn't. It did not go great last time. But if he can crack through a little bit and score some points, I like the idea of a high-scoring Michigan team. It's break a little of the boringness of Big 12 football out. I wouldn't hate that.
A couple of rolls of the dice. Thinking about Michigan, according to Adam Schefter and Pete Thamel, they have fired Sherrone Moore for cause. Joe Brady, offensive coordinator of the Bills, would be of some intrigue. Of course, he led that offense that won the national championship at LSU in 2019, I think. Yep. The Burrow and Chase and Jefferson and all those guys offense. And then you can always, if you want, you can always get Brian Daboll. He's always out there.
What's Chad Henne doing?
I don't know.
Is he a coach? Does he become a coach?
He could be now.
Let's get Chad Henne out there.
Okay.
Let's get Chad Henne out there. Come on.
How about the old Syracuse coach that coached at he coached the Jaguars, the offensive line guy. He coached them in the playoff game against Pittsburgh a few years ago. Who was that guy?
Well, I don't know why I wanted to say Jim Caldwell, but it was wrong.
Mike Caldwell was their GM. No, this was a stocky offensive line looking guy. He's an offensive line coach now somewhere. I know the crowd will know. Let's crowdsource this. Who is the former head coach of the Jags? No, it was he was the coach 3 years ago. Before he might have been the guy before
Darrell Bevell.
No, he was before Urban Meyer.
Oh, Doug Marrone.
Yeah, Doug Marrone. There you go.
How about Doug Marrone was the head coach of the Jaguars for 4 years.
Yeah,
that's insane.
But he was a really good college coach too. Okay, so there we go. What did you want to get to next?
Was he at Rutgers?
Rutgers. That's it.
Rutgers was that
Rutgers or Syracuse?
I thought Doug Marrone was Rutgers.
Let's see.
I swear to God, Doug Marrone was Rutgers.
Shiano was Rutgers.
You know what? I think you're right. I'm thinking Shiano. You're right. It is Syracuse. Okay. I'm thinking Shiano for Doug Marrone instead of Doug Marrone. You're right. It was Syracuse, not Rutgers. Good call.
Okay. So anyway, we've got some ideas for you.
Oh Jesus. Okay. So Michigan is a dumpster file. Is a dumpster fire. Yeah. Bryce Miller was the other Mariners pitcher.
Yeah, he'd be fun.
As we completely roar back to a conversation from 12 minutes ago. Bryce Miller was the other one. Also a player who was injured last year. So it's one of those things where, like, I can't really tell or guess at what the Mariners would be thinking, because
the key for the Cardinals is you just have to listen to Matt Pierpont. Matt Pierpont was their director of minor league pitching when all of these guys were in their system. He knows all of those pitchers intimately, and the Cardinals trust him. And so you just say, okay, which one of these guys, if we have a choice between pitcher A and pitcher B, who would you take, and just listen to Pierpont?
We're getting a lot of people in the chat who are just saying, like who are mad about the lack of movement. It's just, I just don't understand. Like, that a lot of teams want Brendan Donovan.
Okay.
So why does a lack of a move inside of an arbitrary week-long meeting where sometimes things get done, sometimes they don't? I'm not sure why it would bother fans. Like, teams want Brendan Donovan. The lack of a Brendan Donovan trade is not because of a lack of interest, and it's not because of a lack of the Cardinals doing their due diligence. In fact, it might be because of all of those things. And so therefore, the deal is going to happen. Calm down.
Well, and I would ask, for those that are unhappy with the amount of movement that the Cardinals have generated so far, what team are you happy with their amount of trades so far at the winter meetings? Cardinals aren't signing free agents. They aren't signing Pete Alonso or Edwin Diaz or Kyle Schwarber. So what team are you happy with that has made trades with the volume of trades that they've made at these winter meetings?
You're telling me they're not going to spend $20 million to not have Nolan Arenado play, and then they're not going to sign Murakami?
I don't think that's happening. No, I don't think it is.
This is crap. Safari Elvis, Bloom has been all bark and no bite so far.
Were you out of town when they traded Sonny Gray?
Coming home with no deals completed with all that smoke is a big L. Doesn't matter. Really, there isn't some deadline at the end of the winter meetings, guys.
Spring training starts on February 14th. So yeah, it's you are allowed. The Cardinals didn't trade for Jim Edmonds until spring training, till March. And so people were furious, as you might guess, that the Cardinals had made more moves.
Bryce A says the Mariners are not trading any of their starting five. Again, why wouldn't, to Randy's point, they got like 5 or 6 good pitchers. Why not trade one of them to augment a lineup that needs another bat?
I don't know that you've been paying attention, but nobody makes more trades or enjoys making trades more than Jerry Dipoto. Jerry Dipoto calls, he even called Mo. He calls other GMs incessantly wanting to make deals. And if you think Jerry Dipoto is ever going to be restricted from making a trade, you just haven't been paying attention to the guy. In fact, if you look, I think he's made twice as many trades as the next most of any general manager.
I like this from you, Mama. Kirby's used to being wet, though, always playing in Seattle. Yeah, it was a big problem for Sonny. He'd get all wet because of the humidity.
Yeah. So
did you dive in at all to the Sonny Gray stuff that happened early in the week?
Love it, yeah.
What the hell was that about? So he takes the shot at the Yankees when he gets signed with the Red Sox, and then Cashman comes out and says that he had that Sonny had said when he was an A, I can't wait to play for the Yankees. And then Sonny then says, yeah, but I was just told by my agent to say that.
Yeah.
What an insane back and forth that was.
He's an unusual guy.
He's an odd guy.
You
know what the funny thing is? I believe everyone in that conversation.
Yeah.
I believe everything there happened.
But it was just a disaster. He did not, and I don't question that he said, yeah, I just stay in my hotel room all day. But everybody that was around, that I know that was around that team, the Yankees now and then, would say that he was just a disaster there. And it's not going to get a whole lot better. They have, let me give you the exact name here of a.
Somebody said John Gruden to Michigan.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, nobody ever gets
fired for cause when they hire John Gruden.
Yeah. So in Boston Sports Talk Radio, every single morning of the weekday, they've got a segment, literally a segment, called Wheel of Gutless Bums. All right? I think it's on WEEI. Yeah. Wheel of Gutless Bums. How often do you think that Sonny Gray is going to be on that segment?
Yeah, I think they're going to probably. I mean, the first time he admits that he asked to be taken out of the game, he's going to be on that wheel. And then as soon as that happens the first time, they're going to be ready to put him on the wheel every single time he doesn't have a good game.
No doubt.
Yeah, I hope somebody tells him, hey man, if you have a bad game this year, let's say anything other than, yeah, I was getting really tired and I asked to be pulled out. Let's just not ever say that publicly again. It's not going to help out. No one's going to understand what you're trying to say.
No.
Do you think the people in St. Louis were irrational about that? Oh boy, just you wait there, Sonny.
You don't want to be too honest in Boston.
This could be Ben says, Kirby Moore, please take him off our hands.
Oh, there you go.
And take Eric Link with him. Greg
and he would take Corey Batoon as his defensive coordinator.
Craig Lewis commenting on the Cardinals' new Rule 5 pick this offseason. Matt Pushard and Richard Fitz. Really, Cardinals?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, your minds are in the dirt. I did not at any point see that name and think of a joke, but yeah, it's there. Nicely done. Cards in 2028. Joe Ryan, Jared Jones, any young Seattle pitcher, Bobby Miller, Birdsong, throwing out a lot of potential combinations to get to get Brendan Donovan there. High definition. I think this goes back to he goes, wow, not talking baseball.
So by the way, Jerry DiPoto, 190 trades in the last 10 years.
Jesus. Here's another thing.
Average of 19 a year.
Here's another thing. High definition. We want to talk about the Blues, and we would have talked about the Blues today had they won the game. But everyone's hurt now, and we're down to the point now where the Blues are signing people midseason that they have to put out special statements about, and Dylan Dubé.
How about let's go with Robby Fabbri.
Love Robby Fabbri.
He's back. He's in the lineup tomorrow night.
That says all.
Yep. Give him number 15. Let him rock and roll.
Says all.
He's a Stanley Cup champion, is he not?
Says all we have to really say, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
is his name on the cup?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Of course. Yeah. And yes, they. So it was an inappropriate relationship that Sherrone Moore had.
It always is.
Hmm.
Yep. No Urban Meyer. I think you can't follow that one up there.
Okay.
A little risky. I know I'm taking shots at the Blues. I'm sorry, high definition. I don't mean to be harsh.
Yeah.
It's just
so, and
I'd like to talk about the Blues. I'd like to not have to talk about the Cardinals every day.
You don't. I'm a second chance guy, and obviously that court case in Canada was extremely graphic, but the court did determine.
Oh yeah,
that none of these kids are in jail, and the judge said it seemed like the girl was the initiator of everything, and I read all of it. So I don't know, and I don't know how involved. None of us know how involved a guy like Dylan Dubé was. But Carter Hart's playing for the Vegas Golden Knights now, and some of the other guys are they're hoping for opportunities. And the fact of the matter is that the Blues, they need bodies. When you are missing Toropchenko, when you're missing Nadab, when you're missing Jimmy Snuggerud, when you're missing Jordan Kyrou, you need people to play. And so you can either bring up more rookies, and I would argue that the inexperienced guys were a big part of the reason that you didn't win last night, Or you can try to go get some veterans, people who have an idea of what you're doing, and maybe some people that have an upside that have a little bit of NHL experience. And I think that's where the Blues are right now. I think that if you look at the signings and the trade for Mailloux, let's throw that in there, Mailloux, Lucic, Dubé, okay? But then look at why those players are on the roster, right? Lucic is not on the roster anymore. He got a PTO, but the Blues were considering him as a big-bodied guy and a guy that brought some grit because they didn't have Bolduc anymore. Why are they going after people? Nothing wrong with Robby Fabbri, but why are they signing people like Dubé and Fabbri? Because they don't have enough bodies to field a team right now. And it's not because they want to go out and build the hockey version of Al Davis's Raiders. It's because they need hockey players.
Yeah. And like you said, they did the Blues did their due diligence. The judge acquitted him on all the charges this past summer. So it is what it is. It's just there's the issue now with watching the Blues, and part of it is because of what happened at the end of the season. But it's just at no point does a tie feel. Do I feel confident when it's tied 2-2? I wasn't feeling that confident.
Oh,
and when the game
2-0,
when the game starts tipping against them,
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason to think they're going to stop the bleeding and then fire back. That's the issue right now with the Blues. And there was a comment earlier that they really did get outplayed more in the second, and they kind of set them up for the failure throughout the rest of the game. It was bad, and so that's a fair statement.
By the way, at Michigan, Biff Poggi, is that a great name for a coach? Biff Poggi or Poggi?
I think it's Poggi.
Biff Poggi is Poggi, named the interim head coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
This should be Ben says Boston fans are rational. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think they have a tendency.
Randy almost got in a fight with them one time.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know that it would have been as much a fight as it would have been a beatdown.
There it is. There you go, Randy. Get after
about
him.
that, by the way. So somebody asked Kilcoyne. He said, "What's something that nobody knows about Randy?" And I completely forgot. And I guess I had blackout rage. And so Kilcoyne told the story about how at the Super Bowl I was on with him in front of some cathedral or some building or something like that. And there's some mouthy Teddy Bruschi jersey wearing Patriot fan that wouldn't shut up. And finally we get to a commercial break, and I went over and grabbed the guy and I got him to shut up. I think he might have left. I'm not sure, but but I was younger. I had blackout rage then. I don't have that anymore, Matthew.
Henry Wells says the Cardinals are the crown jewel of the Major League Baseball.
They are, according to Bud Selig.
Called them the crown jewel of Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah.
It's not the Yankees.
Oh no. The Yankees.
The most. I'm sorry. The most famous player in league history played for the Yankees.
Ozzie Smith never played for the Yankees.
Played for the Yankees. The team with the most championships is the Yankees. The team with the most iconic stadium for years was the Yankees. The team with the most iconic uniforms is the Yankees. The team in the largest market is the Yankees.
I don't know who you're talking to. Have you ever seen The Lou?
Such a good point. You're right. My apologies. I take it all back. One thing I don't want to forget here, we got to shut down the show, but I really do want to play this. It's about a minute and a half of Chaim Bloom from yesterday's breakdown, talking about Ivan Herrera, his development. Maybe even we can describe it after the quote comments as the lack thereof of his development as a catcher, and kind of how that has factored into things. This will be the last thing we talk about today. Here is Chaim Bloom yesterday talking about Ivan Herrera's development as a catcher over the last
year. A little
year.
more to it than that. Just, in terms of, especially with some of the perspective I've had on our organization, where we've been in player development, I don't think when you look at the entirety of his career, I'm not sure he was ever really set up for success at that position because of a number of factors. And that's not, a negative or taking shots at anybody. I think it's just, some of it's just about the state of the organization, what else is available at the position internally, where you might not get that fair shot, and yet you're being asked to perform in the big leagues. And so you're not in a pure teaching environment either. Yeah. And it all has to start with the player wanting to do it. I think it's really hard. I've experienced this with catching conversions before, which obviously he isn't, but You could say this player should be a catcher. If they don't want to do it, it doesn't matter. It's hard enough to do when you want to do it. He wants to do it. So that's the first step. He was very clear on that with us. Yeah. And we saw an opportunity as an organization, especially having a minor league curriculum that's more built out. Well, he didn't get to take advantage of that for various reasons, both because it didn't exist in the minor leagues when he was here, and also because he was pressed into service or called up in different ways to the big leagues. And because he can hit, he got other opportunities too. So there's a chance in the off season, outside of cleaning up what he needed to get cleaned up medically, and then combining the rehab processes that was going to take place anyway with a deliberate throwing program that hopefully puts him in better position, but also to make up for some lost time just on some of the X's and O's and the basics of catching from a mental perspective.
Randy, nothing there that surprises you. You've been talking about the lack of catching instructors in the minor leagues for years now, and it's clear now. Chaim very blatantly laying it out there, not trying to call anybody out, but hello. A complete lack of development for him as a catcher over the years.
Absolutely criminal. And it's a shame. And I don't know that he'll ever be a good defensive catcher. I can tell you this, in 2020, when we were down at spring training and the Cardinals still had Yadier Molina behind the plate, the Cardinals were saying that they didn't need to worry about the future of the catching position here because Ivan Herrera was going to be the guy. And they loved his defense. They actually, at that time, they said, he just needs to get his bat to catch up with his defense, and he'll be great. Obviously, that has changed. But the Cardinals went for years with all these catchers like Carson Kelly, Andrew Kisner, Herrera, and didn't have a minor league catching instructor. It was absolutely unbelievable that they didn't have somebody to help these young prospects along. And then, we get the idea that just because Yadier Molina was here at the major league level, that he was helping guys out. Well, that wasn't necessarily the case. He was here as the catcher and people could observe him, but I don't think that he was actively seeking people out and saying, okay, this is how you go about this business. And that wasn't his job. I didn't expect him to have to do that. But the point is, there wasn't somebody specifically entrusted with advancing the careers of the young catchers. Mike Matheny was gone from the organization by then. He had done a really good job while he was here as the manager, but he was gone by then.
But and to Mike's point though, when he was the manager of the Cardinals, his job was not to develop young players. He wasn't going to be working with, and at that time it would have been a very young Ivan Herrera, or at that time it would have been Ivan Herrera, it would have been Andrew Kisner. But he wouldn't have been working on a lot of catching stuff, a day to day, the way you need a coach to be doing.
But spring training he could, and during the off season he could, and he would bring minor leaguers into town and work with them. It wasn't day to day during the season, but at least they had somebody who had been a Gold Glove quality catcher who did have the desire to teach, that was doing it. And by the way, if I were Chaim Bloom or the Cardinals, I would call Mike Matheny now. Even though you do have Ethan Goforth, you do have a minor league catching instructor, you could not go wrong by having Mike Matheny working with this wealth of young catchers that you have. It would be a positive. There is no negative to having a catcher with Mike Matheny's history working in your organization and working with your young catchers. It'd be a smart move on their part. But I think Chaim laid it out there, and it's really a shame the way that's kind of the essence of what happened to the organization. They just allowed it to crumble, especially at the minor league level, because they were spending their budget. They gave John Mozeliak a budget and said, spend it the way you want. And this was all laid out in a Katie Wu piece at The Athletic at the end of the 24 season. He decided to spend his money on the major league team rather than on the minor league system. And the minor league system was a skeleton crew and was really devoid of quality people, not quality people, but quality instructors that were advancing minor league players. Let me give you one typical tidbit. When the Cardinals traded Harrison Bader at the end of, was it 22 when they got Montgomery?
Yeah.
22. And they move Jordan Walker from third base to the outfield, put him in right field right away. That night, the night they made that trade. Throughout that 2 months that Jordan Walker played the outfield at Springfield, he had the Springfield coaching staff, but didn't have a single person that was there dedicated to him becoming not a better outfielder, just an outfielder. He'd never played the outfield in his life. He'd been an infielder, third baseman. And so the Cardinals go from July 31st through August through September with him playing the outfield and never have somebody dedicated to helping him get better at the position. And so that was just typical. That happened with the catchers. That happened with infielders. It happened with base runners. Happened with outfielders. They didn't have enough people to teach players how to play.
Which is why there was the year which is why there was the 2 or 3 year complete downfall of the defense, and then you needed to have the major league coaching staff of Mike Schilt and Ali Marmol rebuild the defense at the major league level, which was ridiculous that it had to happen. Good credit to them, obviously great coaches, but
and there was a time where the Cardinals had Dan Bilardello at low A as their manager there. Ali was the manager in high A. Mike Schilt was at double A at Springfield. And the Pop Warner was your manager at AAA. And everybody was on the same page. And I don't know why they wouldn't allow Ali to get everybody in a room. Joe Madden always did this. Tony always did this. Whitey always did this. There's a cardinal way to play, right? You get everybody on the same page. For whatever reason, this stopped happening. And I don't know if it was under Schultz or Ali. But the way it was set up with Tony La Russa as the manager and then Mike Matheny was Dan Bilardello would get the guys at low A, teach them how to play the Cardinal way, hand them off to Ali. Ali knew what they knew, okay? And he developed them, got them better at what they needed to get better at, handed them off to Schilt. Schilt gets them and says, okay, here's what we got to work on. Here's how we're going to make you better. Here's how we're going to get you to St. Louis. He hands the kid off to Pop Warner. Pop Warner polishes him up, gets him ready to go. He gets to the majors, and he knows how to play. That completely went away. That level of communication and the assembly line of building a player completely went away. And that's something that Chaim Bloom has to fix.
Last thing here, JD Miller. How could an organization that excelled at development just let that go? For me, my observation has been a combination of too much group thinking, kind of yes man, kind of everyone had the same ideas in the same rooms for too many times.
Yep.
A little bit of a budget pinch that was probably exacerbated by COVID, but started before 2020. I think that needs to be said, is that the fall down of this development started as far back as 2016 and started to really crystallize in 2019. And so it happened before COVID, but I think a financial situation exacerbated by COVID. Mm-hmm. And I think those are the two biggest things.
Well, and then arrogance.
Arrogance, yes.
Because they thought that they were the smartest guy in the room. And here's what happens sometimes in sports. I remember I don't remember who it was. I think it was Grant Wistrom. We're talking one time about the downfall of the greatest show on turf. And they were so good in 99, 2000, 2001. And you start drafting players, and players think, oh, I'm on the Rams. We're going to be great because we're the Rams. Well, it doesn't work that way. You need to teach players how to play your way. And I think the Cardinals got so arrogant that it was almost like, well, if we draft him, he's going to be a great player because he's a Cardinal. Oh, wow. And it doesn't work that way. But I think that there was a level of arrogance and belief that just because they were wearing the birds on the bat, that they were going to be good. And they forgot about the part of developing them and then imbuing them with the necessity of being a winner. And that's what happened to the Rams. You get trunk candidate. Did you ever notice the trunk candidate, whenever Marshall Faulk would get hurt, he would get hurt too? Because he really didn't want to play. And you get a lot of guys that walked through those doors, and Tommy Polly is another one. They thought that they were joining a really good team, and they thought, oh, but I don't have to work really hard at being great because I'm a member of the Rams. And I think that probably happened with the Cardinals in a different way, but there was the lack of competitiveness that you forced players to have in the past. That's going to be gone now. This is going to be an organization where you're going to have to compete to have your spot.
I don't know why, but it is funny to me that I just mentioned 2016, and then you mentioned kind of the lack of everyone just thought it would work out. And it's funny to me that the Cardinals 2016 first round draft pick, Delvin Perez, which kind of who fell down in the first round. Everyone's like, wow, the Cardinals have never gotten to draft this kind of talent. And then it never worked out. And people kind of wondered, wait, why didn't us finally getting to draft a top 10 talent? Why didn't that work? And maybe these things are not just completely coincidental.
Exactly. And it's unfortunate. And that's ultimately why you have a new administration in charge right now. And I think as much as they didn't hire anybody so that they could learn about why they were being passed up, the ownership is not devoid of blame here either. Definitely John Mozeliak deserves blame. But baseball became a lot more expensive over the last 10 years. When you're hiring all these analytics people, you're buying all this equipment, you're hiring all these teachers to teach people how to use this equipment.
Your regional TV cable money dries up.
Yep. So, but Mozeliak was given X amount of dollars and said, okay, use this for the organization. But he was given no direction as to, okay, here's what you use for the major league payroll. This is what you use for the minor league structure. There was no instruction given there. And I think that's part of ownership's responsibility, is to say, you get in a room and you say, okay, we're going to spend this much on development and this much on your major league team. And that wasn't happening.
Yeah, I think, arrogance and a misallocation of resources might be the easiest way to describe what happened.
Absolutely. That was a fun show. Hope you enjoyed it. We're here every day right around 3:00. We are presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Bernie is up here at STL Sports Central. Bernie and I will be with you, I think, on Friday morning. And I think Bernie and I pretty soon we're going to do like a live chat, which will be a lot of fun. Don't forget to become an STL Sports Central insider. You can watch our entire segment, Bernie and me.
Yes? I believe we're cooking that up for next week. So,
yes.
you guys, so to be part of that,
I think Tuesday.
Yeah, to be part of that live chat with Bernie and Randy, you're going to need to be an STL Sports insider. So easy to do it. Just visit STL Sports Central and get in on the fun.
And we will be responding to your questions and comments. So it'll be just like the old days back at the radio, where you get to, you know what? I won't even get mad at you if you make a trade proposal.
There we go. How about that?
Hey, by the way, one other thing. There is have you ever seen this site called The Hockey Writers?
No.
And it's just like old school radio, where they make ridiculous trade proposals. It's pretty funny. They've got one where the Blues trade Kyrou and Binnington for a bunch of the Canadians' bad contracts. So it's kind of fun.
Oh God.
Yeah. So it's a Canadian thing. TheHockeyWriters.com or .ca, something like that.
See, what happens is that the Blues are in a rebuild, so what they want to do is make it last for 5 years.
Yeah, there you go. Wilson got us on the air here, and we appreciate you being a part of it. We'll see you next time here on the Randy Karraker Show. Have a good night.